no one's business, you know, where I work. So let me put this coat on real quick. Shit. It's like your shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakak Wadash, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakak Wadash. I give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, GMS, that rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect. All right, fellow Akim, and few Akwaf, you know, listening and learning this truth. All right, of the true nation of Israel, Yasharallah. Quick lesson, quick in transit, live, speaking out loud through the spirit lesson. All right, what sparked this live, you know, this lesson, man, in transit lesson was I was just overhearing some conversations at work. Because I'm a line server at work. I supply the warehouse. Well, I work in the warehouse, raw materials and whatnot. You know, I'm out. I'm always here, there. You know, running into multiple types of, you know, multiple people in the building. And overheard, you know, just a little quick, little conversation of these people, you know. This lady, I feel like she's an Edomite, but Jake has the same mindset as well, okay. But she said, talking about, you know, it's bad, unhealthy, it's very bad to skip meals, you know, skip a meal, you know, which basically means to fast. I have a feeling this lady, you know, when you if you talk to this lady about fasting, it's gonna be foreign to her, alien. You know, she's gonna look at you crazy, look at you sideways, like, what the hell? You're skipping meals, going a day or two without eating and drinking water. You're crazy. You know, I have a feeling if I said something, you know, if I said that, you know, she would say that to me. That's why I feel like she's an Edomite, you know, because these Edomites, you know, they're profane, they're viler, you know, the most vile people on the earth, you know, they don't understand the ways of the Lord, of Yahweh Shemiah Shai, which incorporating fasting into your life, even if it's intermittent fasting, you know, or if it's fasting from something like water, or not water, but like alcohol, or being abstinent from something, you know. It doesn't even have to just be food and water, just, you know, in general, you know, alcohol or doing something, you know. That's one of the ways of Yahweh Shemiah Shai, that, you know, that's a commandment of Yahweh Shemiah Shai, you know. Fasting time to time, you know. Abstaining from certain things, man, like meats, food, drink, you know, women, you know, people, work, you know, exercising, you know. But in this case, food and water, you know, food and drink, you know. And this lady was like, man, yeah, you can't be skipping meals, you know, that's bad. And that, you know, blah, that's all I heard for the conversation. And I just thought to myself, hey, man, you know, these Americans aren't ready. They're not going to know what's going to hit them, all right, when Yahweh Shemiah Shai brings these famines, all right, to America, all right, because, hey, these other countries, they get famines, these people starve, okay, outside of America, you know, they eat each other because there's no food or drink, you know, in their land and whatnot. And then, but when America goes through it, even something not even like that, but, you know, anything close to a famine, you know, Americans go crazy, you know. But America, oh shit, there's a fire going on right there. Oh, they're just burning shit. It's lucky. But yeah, we all know what happened in 2020. All right, you know, these stores, like, you know, every store like Walmart, Dillon's, and these grocery stores were, uh, their shelves were empty. All right, they were being real empty, man. All right, no food or drink, definitely no toilet paper. In these on the shelves, man, at these stores. All right. And Americans were going crazy. And then what happened? All right, everything was stocked back up in America. Everything went somewhat to normal, but not the same. All right, America has never been the same after 2020, man. But that ain't nothing, man, compared to what's about to hit America. What's coming to America? All right, that ain't nothing compared to what has happened in the past, in history, throughout history, man, upon these other countries. Okay, man, there's been many cases where countries, masses of people, all right, die of famine, die of no food or water, man. Okay, but a famine like no other that will ever hit the earth is going to hit America. Thus saith the Bible. It doesn't say it in those exact words, but the scriptures talk about Jacob's trouble. All right, a time that never was, nor shall be, nor all right, it's going to be a bad time. So the famines that the Lord is going to put upon America, which a famine is a plague, is not a famine a type of plague. All right, and what did Yahweh Shema Shai do to the land of to the Egyptian empire back in the day? He sent famines, and one of those famines was he sent plagues upon Egypt. All right, one of those plagues was famine. Okay, all right, 7 years of plenty, 7 years of not plenty, for lack of better words. All right, and guess what? We're in spiritual, all right, spiritual Sodom and Egypt. This is Egypt all over again. Okay, so and he said, the Lord is gonna bring famine upon America. Okay. All right, and you can see it. You can see it coming, man. All right. Okay, these tariffs. All right, these countries are done. Messing with America. All right. The prices of food and water and drink and goods are going up and up. All right. 6 years ago, all right, shoot, things were not as expensive as they were right now, man. All right, living in America is expensive as hell. I don't blame you. I don't blame you if you're homeless, man. I used to look, be real. I used to be, I don't blame you, because, man, it's expensive, man. I don't know how I'm still afloat, how I'm still part of society, man. It's all thanks to the grace and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, man. Because I don't know how, I'm not on the streets homeless, man. If it wasn't for Yahweh Shem Shai, that's all I know, man. All right, because it's expensive, and I get paid roughly $20 an hour, and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, man. With my woman, and she has a job too, man. Okay, which, hey, she just finally got a better paying job, and but we all know these jobs, these corporations and shit that we work for, they pay us every 2 fucking weeks. So we gotta eat 2 weeks. We have to be broke, all right, be behind bills for 2 weeks, thug it out, and then once we finally get that our paychecks, all right, we have to throw it all back into bills, man. All right, and just starting behind sucks. All right, and we're forced to start behind because they pay us every 2 weeks instead of daily. You're supposed, according to the Bible, you're supposed to pay your employees, your workers. All right, you're supposed to pay them daily. All right, not not every 2 fucking weeks, man. That's ridiculous. You know, that's wicked. That's sin. All right, it's iniquity, man. But yeah, you know, these people, they're not ready for the famine to come in. You know, they don't even believe in fasting. You know, oh, it's not good to skip a meal. Well, you're gonna be forced to skip 2 days worth of meals, man. All right, plus maybe more. All right, and that's why us men of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, you know, we incorporate and we practice fasting, man. All right, okay, as much as we can, you know, because we know that, hey, you know, we're gonna go possibly 3 days without fat, you know, with food or water, possibly, maybe more, maybe less. You know, we might go a day without eating or drinking, you know, no food or water, you know, because there's going to be great famines here in America. Food and water is going to be short and scarce in America because of inflation, man. All right, and because the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshai, is putting the spirit upon these Edomites in power, you know, the white man in power over America to systematically, you know, destroy it, bring it down, the economy. All right, what's coming in and what's coming out. I'm talking about resources and food and water and goods. All right, it's all going to go stale, like the scriptures say. People are going to be looking out their houses, and the grinding shall cease, and people's faces are going to turn into paleness. You know, it's going to be dark. All right, the grinding shall cease. Talk about the work. There's not going to be any more jobs. People are all going to be unemployed and homeless and shit, man. Everybody. All right, eventually everybody's going to be homeless. All right, almost everybody. But the Lord is, like the scriptures say, the Lord is going to the things that the rich, all right, put aside, you know, the Lord is going to put it, he's going to give it to the elect, roughly paraphrasing. He stores it up for the elect. So, hey, the Lord is going to unalive, all right, move these rich people out of their houses and places and bunkers and whatnot. And the Lord is going to put his elect, us, hopeful elect, all right, in those bunkers, in those safe places, in these mansions with stored up food and goods, you know. And we're going to be safe, like the scriptures say, man. You know, don't know how, don't specifically know how the Lord's going to do it, but hey, it's written, the Lord's going to do it. The scripture says, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed, man. All right, because these people, they don't believe in Yahweh Shem Yahshai. They don't live after the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, you know. So they're going to be suffering out here, man, you know. They don't believe in fasting. They don't believe that they could go a day or two without food or drink. So what are they going to do? They're going to start eating each other, man. All right. Hey, the Lord himself, Yahweh, went 40 days and 40 nights, you know, with no food or water. He lived, you know. That's a very extreme case, but hey, 1 or 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 days, hey, it's doable. Okay. All right. Especially if you practice doing it, man. All right. If you practice fasting, all right, your body's gonna get used to it. It's gonna be more efficient in storing fats and nutrients, and your body's not going to be as hungry and thirsty when you do fast. All right, because it's used to it. It's, you know, your body starts storing, all right, nutrients, so you can go long periods without eating and drinking. Okay. All right. And plus, these Americans are fat as hell anyway. They need a fast. Shit. All right. So I'm skinny as shit, man. Like I think it was 2020. I went to a 48-hour fast, man. 48. It was like 50-hour fast, 2-day fast. No food, no drink, man. I'm not trying to boast about my fast, but you know, just gratification's sake, it's doable, man. You know, and me doing that, you know, that's going to be the Wadi Habah Shemel Shai for giving me the spirit to do that. But me doing that is gonna, you know, I'm gonna look back at that, you know, and be like, hey man, I went 2 days without food or drink. So me feeling hungry and thirsty and, you know, and whatnot, me having the keto flu, you know, people say the keto flu is when you fast for a long time and you're just drowsy, you know, you feel sick, you know, you feel like you're about to pass out. That's because your body's not used to fasting. But in those times, we're gonna look back at these fasts that we've done, all right, and we're gonna be like, hey man, I went this long without without food or drink. I could go I could go, I'm good now, all right, but hey man, these storehouses, like the scriptures say, shall suddenly be found empty. All right, talking about your grocery stores. Okay, these people, they don't know what's gonna hit them, man. They're not ready. They don't talk about prophecy. They're not filtering out the news. All right, with world events. All right, tariffs and whatnot, with these geopolitical movements and things that going on around the world, man. And they're not, like the scriptures say, a wise man, a prudent man, foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. And we're those prudent men, those wise men. Okay, we see the evil coming, man. We see great famines and horrible evils coming to America. All right, to a neighborhood near us, man. All right, so what do? We hide ourselves in the spirit and knowledge of Yahweh Shemiel Shai. All right, like the scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability. All right, the stability of thy times. And those times that it's talking about is these times that we're stepping into, Jacob's trouble. All right, when a great famine is going to hit America, and that's just one great trouble, one great evil that's coming to America. Okay, there's going to be pestilences, diseases off the charts. Okay, wild, crazy, killer animals, man, on the streets of America. Dogs, gangs of dogs all around America, unaliving people, tearing people up. Dogs to tear, like the scriptures say. Neighbors, people, all right, around your neighborhood, just breaking into people's houses, all right, gangs forming, American cartels forming, just going around your town, your city, breaking through people's houses, unaliving them, graping them, stealing their goods and their food and stored up goods and whatnot. That's what's coming to America, man, because society is collapsing, and it's going to ultimately, utterly, fully collapse. Okay, and these people aren't ready, man. Talking about it's not good to skip a meal. Yes, it is good to skip a meal, man. It actually is good to skip multiple meals, because it allows your body to rest. It allows your stomach to rest while, so your body can focus on repairing itself in other places, man. All right. It's like a reset. It's like an oil change, for your body, you know. But hey, these people don't fast at all, man. That's why they got sicknesses, ailments. All right, too tired. They age quickly. All right. Because hey, man, they don't fast. All right, which is one way of